All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second ever live stream. Hopefully everything is working properly this time. My mic is hopefully working as well, and everything else. Now, I'm going to waste these first few precious seconds of this video that are usually meant to capture your attention to just ramble a little bit and allow just a few people to join in on the live stream. So we're gonna get started in just a bit. Have a little bit of patience, and if you don't, you can always skip ahead if you are watching this video as a playback. But definitely don't click away, because we're going to be talking about a lot of interesting topics, something that's been asked to me over and over, which is, of course, what is the best camera I should buy and all of that. So we have a very interesting discussion that we have ahead of us, and we're also going to be doing our first ever giveaway. So you're going to get some free stuff by the end of this live stream, which is very exciting because I've always wanted to do giveaways, but never really figure out a system. I finally did, so I'll be giving you some free stuff by the end of this video. So definitely stick around, and I'm just really excited to talk about this this topic again, because I've been getting emails, comments from all over, and you know, I figured that a live stream would be the best way of actually talking about this stuff, so we can have a conversation. You can share some ideas in the live chat, and also in the comments down below if you're watching this video as a playback. Also, I want to show you something real quick before we get started. Check this out. If this is your first time on this channel, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. I hope that worked. I was so excited to show you that. It's like an overlay I made in After Effects, and I made a few other ones that are going to be pretty much sprinkled out throughout this live stream, and I always wanted those little assets to overlay in my videos, let alone in the live stream, so I'm really excited about that. Hopefully everything is coming in well. Hello from Poland. Nice. I'm tempted to eat McDonald's. Should I? No. Nice. We're getting some people. Hello from Honduras. I was actually there on a cruise a few years back. Interesting place. So nice. We're gonna get started in just a second. Hopefully everything is well. You know, all this live setup. Again, I'm really new to this. This is my second time, so if there's any quirks, you know, last time we had this mic is a mono mic, so when you had one of the speakers or headphones silent, one of the channels was silent. I was able to fix that, hopefully this time, so no issues in this live stream. Hopefully, we'll see. So today's topic is what camera you should get. We're talking about for video, you know, for us filmmakers, but we're also going to go deep into the type of shooting style that you have, and why a camera could be different depending on what you're shooting, on your style of cinematography, and the type of projects that you're working on. So it's not just a blanket statement. It's not a clickbaity information type of video. We're actually going to dive into this this topic, and again, it's something that has been asked to me time and time again, so I'm actually excited to finally be able to share my thoughts on this. I've collected quite a few cameras. But yeah, I have a few cameras here. I've switched from a lot of cameras. I've tested out a lot of cameras. I've been on shoots with different types. Hello, I'm back. Okay, I accidentally disconnected the mic. So hopefully you'll find this information useful. All right, great start. Cool. So yeah, I think we're ready to go. We have a few people in the chat. So let's do this. Let's talk about the best 4K cameras for filmmakers. What's up, everyone? My name is Chris Trini. Mic keeps disconnecting. I need to not touch the desk. It's that sensitive. So anyways, let's try that again. My name is Chris Trini for Chris Gh4, and if this is your first time on this channel, I don't usually do live streams that go horribly wrong with audio. I usually do workshops and that sort of thing, but I tried this, I think it was just a few days ago, and I really liked this format. Let me also turn off Wi-Fi here. Isn't this so professional how I need to like do all this? live. There we go. So yeah, aside from still getting a hang of it, clearly, I really enjoyed the interaction that I got from you guys. Let me just show you also this. There we go. We have the live chat right there. And that was a feature that I love to be able to see and just talk to you guys in a more direct way. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while now, and this is yeah, this is exciting. So I'm gonna try not to bump the mic anymore. I don't know why that keeps happening. So okay, let's jump in on my website real quick, and I want to show you something that I have on here that I showed you last time. So this is my new website, and if you go to the bottom, you're going to find a section called the Ultimate Filmmaking Buyer's Guide. So I've kind of done a little bit of the work that goes into this video already through these articles. You can see that there is, best sound, best lights for video, best desk setup, which covers everything that I have on my desk in terms of gear and what I use to edit, and also what I use to live stream, my favorite options for lenses. And I might make some videos on these topics a little bit in the future. But for now, let's dive into the best cameras. So this is an article I wrote, and it has my 2 cents on what kind of cameras I think are the best currently for filmmakers on the market. So you can see my top picks over here, and let's just jump in with the first one and what I think about what the ultimate best camera right now for filmmakers is on the market. Yes, the subscribe thing keeps coming on. It's a nice reminder. Did not do that on purpose, but consider subscribing. So, yeah, so the A7S, I have 2 of them right here. Actually, this is the older one. This is the A7S Mark II. I love this camera for so many reasons. And honestly, my favorite reason for this, which I'm sure you've heard from many places before, is that it's the king of low light. Honestly, there are no cameras so far that have this camera beat in terms of ISO. The GH5 has come pretty close, but it's still not quite there, and it doesn't have a full frame sensor like the A7S Mark II has. So in my opinion, just cutting the chase and not doing a top 5 or anything, this is the absolute, I think, best camera on the market right now. It is a little bit pricey for entry-level filmmakers. So I think right now it runs at about 2,000 to 3,000, probably closer to 3,000. So it is a lot, but honestly, when you think about what it gives you, it's really insane. I mean, you can have a limited crew size, limited lighting setup, and you can still get some really great images from this camera alone. It's full frame, which for that price range is honestly incredible. And without going into all the specs, which I have listed on the website here, you can see pretty much just a quick rundown of that. But I'm not really into specs. Of course, it can do 4K and all that good stuff. But I really care about what it offers and the look of it. And honestly, this, for my personal shooting style, has been great when traveling, when doing run and gun type of shoots. It's honestly, I just love it so much. So you can see that it can do 4K internally, which I know is now a pretty common theme throughout most cameras on the market. But the nice thing about this is that it can do S-Log3 in terms of picture profile, and this is something that I've come to really love, just because you can really pull a lot of colors from a flatter profile, and when color grading, you have a lot more room to play with, and you can get some really interesting looks, especially if you have some really solid LUTs. So you can see some other stuff in here that is on a technical basis. But to me, honestly, the main I need to turn off that subscribe thing. Why does it keep coming up? Do you by the way, as a side note, do you guys like these overlays? I could make them available as a pack. So let me know in the chat or in the comments if you're watching this video if you would like a YouTuber starter pack, and I'll put some of those in there. I do have a like overlay. Let me try that out. Bam, do you see it over there? So there's one of those that I made in After Effects. But so yeah, let's jump into the second camera. Now again, this is the A7S Mark II, pricey option. Right below that in terms of price point, you have the Panasonic Gh4. Now there's a few things that are actually great about this camera, and that might even surpass the A7S II. Now, obviously, the price is pretty close to the A7S Mark II, but it's also it's also a lot smaller in terms of form factor. It's a little bit lighter, and something that is honestly pretty important that can be overlooked, it has a flip out screen. And this is honestly really, really big for vloggers, but even for filmmakers. If you're on the go and you don't have an external monitor and you want that flexibility of having a monitor that can twist and turn towards you if you're facing the camera, that is huge. That is something that the A7S doesn't have it in the first iteration or the Mark II. It does flip out a little bit, and you get like probably 20 to 30 degrees of play, which is good for like low down shots if you are holding the camera that way. But if you're filming yourself for videos, for YouTube especially, it can get really annoying to not have a flip out screen. And also for gimbal work, I mean, there's a lot of shooting scenarios where having a flip out screen is so handy. Now, some of the downsides of the Gh4 is that it's not full frame. It's actually a cropped sensor, which also means that you might not be able to use full frame lenses, and or you'll be able to use them, but there'll be a crop factor to it. So you have to keep that in mind. And oh, someone's telling me that I froze for a second. This is what I mean. I live in LA, and they're literally ripping me off with the Wi-Fi, and I'm still getting lag issues. But anyways, and by the way, let me just check the chat real quick. Let's jump in there, and let's see what the comments are looking at. What about Blackmagic cameras? Okay, so I did not include Blackmagic cameras on this list. There are a few really solid ones, such as the Ursa, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. I did try them a few times on a few shoots, and I remember that one time I had such a terrible experience with one of the earlier Blackmagic cameras, the Pocket Cinema camera, that I actually had to rent another camera on the same day of shooting. And after that, I haven't touched a Blackmagic camera. They might have, improved significantly since then. Because they've been working on cameras. They've had a ton of cameras since then. But yeah, I'm not a fan. I don't know. I haven't had much experience. And I know that for the price, I would much prefer using an A7S. And if we jump up to cinema cameras, then I would just go with Reds. But I haven't really, and above that you have the Alexa. But for this type of range that we're talking about, to make it more accessible, I haven't really included much of anything from Blackmagic. Someone says, Jetta Biggs says, how about the A7S, the Sony A6300? I really am a fan of that lineup. The A6300, the A6500, those are really solid cameras because they're tiny. They can do 4K. They have internal stabilization, which is another key point of the A7S Mark II. The fact that the sensor is stabilized is huge, because sometimes if you're doing, let's say, you're holding it and you're doing some B-roll shots, whether you're shooting a documentary or something run and gun. I mean, we've all had this situation where you're trying to hold it really steady and get these nice smooth movements. With the A7S Mark II, you can definitely get away with a lot of that. And honestly, that has made such a huge difference for me. Even going from the A7S Mark II to the A7S Mark I, the first version, this one doesn't have internal stabilization, and it is a massive difference. When I'm shooting, I really, really miss it. There's some lenses that have some stabilization built into them, but it's nothing like having both a lens that is stabilized and a sensor that has a 5-axis stabilization. That is honestly not just great for, I'm trying to place these cameras so gently so it doesn't trip the audio off. It's not just great for handheld stuff. It's also great for gimbal type of movements. If you're using a gimbal and you have some vibration or some minor bumps, even in a dolly track, having stabilization like that can really, really help smooth some of those minor bumps. And there you go. I'm so scared of placing things on my desk. I don't want the audio to. Okay. Someone says, I'm broke. Can't afford none of those cameras. I feel you, Lenny. Honestly, I've had to work for pretty much a long time, and I've honestly built my way up to these cameras. This doesn't really happen overnight where you want a camera and you just go out and buy it. Nueva Republica Productions says rent. Yes, you can rent or finance. Honestly, those are some options that can make some of these cameras a little bit more affordable. But honestly, just work your way up to them. Just save up for them. These are your tools that you're using, so it's really worth investing into good, solid tools. Now, I'm not. Before we continue on to the list, I do want to say that again, it's more about the the skill that you apply behind the tool and not the tool itself. And you've heard this many times before online. I'm sure other people have told you this, but it is really true. So don't get too hung up on the gear. You can make some great images out of a T3i, out of an iPhone, honestly. So don't get too hung up on the gear. You don't have to have the best, the greatest, and the latest. But when it comes to having something like the A7S Mark II, when you have all those low light capabilities and the internal stabilization, well then it's actually lifting some limits, because then you can go and do some night shoots without that much lighting gear. You can rely on getting some really nice cinematic movements without having to rely on a gimbal and having to assemble a gimbal, having to rent a gimbal or a dolly tracker and all of that. So there's a balance. It's not all black and white. Of course, gear isn't everything, but having some really good gear can be extremely helpful. So that is why the A7S Mark II, for the price that it's at, is my top pick. Jenny Loves You says story is key rather than the equipment. I agree 100%. Obviously, if you can have good equipment, like I said, that can help you tell that story, great. But it's all about composition. It's honestly all about the stuff that we talked about in the last live stream, and I agree 100%. So, all right, we're gonna jump into some other questions. I keep eyeing some really interesting questions, but I'm gonna keep it moving along just because I know if someone watching this on a playback, they're gonna get bored with me rambling. So let's jump back into the website. So we're at the Gh4. As you can see here, it has a micro four thirds sensor, and it does have some really great in-camera stabilization, which I believe the Gh4s does not have, but I haven't had a chance to test that out too much yet. Also, something to keep in mind is the dynamic range. Both the Gh4 and the A7S Mark II have great dynamic range, and a huge plus for the Gh4 is the slow motion. The slow motion is really, really solid. It's like butter smooth, so I'm a really big fan of that. So, by the way, you can check out this article. I've also listed some other great videos from some other content creators here on YouTube that have some really in-depth reviews of all these cameras. So definitely check out this article. And of course, it has affiliate links, so you can buy them directly through Amazon, and that means that it's at no extra cost to you. But it does help me a little bit. They just kick me a few bucks every time there's a purchase made through those links. It's a way of Amazon pretty much telling me thank you for bringing this traffic to us and for them to buy these products. But it is at no extra cost to you and does help support the channel a little bit. So at number 3, we have the A7S Mark I. So this might seem a little redundant just because we just talked about the A7S Mark II, but honestly, whenever there's a new camera or a new version of a camera, the previous model will drop significantly in price. I think you can buy this for $1,500 or a little bit less than $2,000 bucks, which is still a lot, I know, but it's a lot better than $3,000. You can save up that extra $1,000 and build yourself a lens kit, a lighting kit. These are things that you need to keep in mind. I do think that the price jump and upgrading to the Mark II is worth it. But again, that all depends on your situation, your type of shooting, and obviously your financial situation. So again, you can see that this has the flip out screen, but this is all the movement that it can do. Same with the Mark II. This is what I was talking about earlier. This is still a really solid camera. This was groundbreaking when it came out just a few years ago, and it is still great in low light. It's still a great B cam that I use from time to time. It can't do 4K, it can only do 1080, but you can pair it with like a Thomas Shogun or something like that, an external recorder essentially, and you can output to 4K which is really great. But again, then you need a rig, you need this external thing on it, and also you need to attach it through the HDMI, the micro or mini. I always get confused, micro or mini HDMI port that is in these, which is just terribly built. I don't know who designed them like this, but they always get nicked and they always get disconnected. So when I was doing a shoot with this camera, trying to get 4K to the Shogun, I kept losing signal from time to time, which is not a big deal if you're just using it as a monitor. But if you're using it as a recorder, then you lose your take. And that kept happening. The actress got really pissed. We all got like super on edge about that, and it was just not a fun shoot. Even if it goes right, you're always like worrying, what if it gets disconnected? So that's a big downside if you want to get 4K out of this. I definitely would just rather go with the Mark II for those reasons. But again, for the price, you're saving about $1,000. That can be an option for you. So again, you can check out this article for all of the specs. I'm not going to really get into that. You can still do S-Log. It's just S-Log 2 and not S-Log 3, which is very similar. They've made some improvements with S-Log 3. I prefer working in that color space, but S-Log 2 is still just fantastic. The autofocus is not the best, which is why right at number 4 we have the Canon 5D Mark IV. So this is honestly the camera that I wish I could love. I've said this in the article too. It's like, it's right there. And Canon, I feel like, has been just kind of slacking behind the marketplace when it comes to Panasonic and Sony. They're really leading the marketplace now, which kind of sucks because Canon has been just this legendary presence in the camera market. And they still are for photography. They still are not beat in terms of that, in terms of their autofocusing capabilities. Like I said before, they're great. But when it comes to video, for some reason, they're not just one step behind, they're like 2-3 steps behind. Yes, the 5D Mark IV can do 4K, but it records in this weird JPEG codec, which is so old and clunky. And I mean, it works, but it creates these massive files. And I don't know the exact numbers, but like if you do 4K on a A7S Mark II with its XAVHD codec, you know, it can pretty much record almost like 5, 7 to 8 times what the 4K of a Canon Mark IV can do. I'm not like 100% scientific on the numbers. I just know that the file sizes are just a massive difference, and I just don't get why they use that codec. I'm sure they have a reason. I mean, I don't design and engineer cameras by any means, but I mean, come on, really? Like, it's just such a bad codec. Anyways, all right, I'm gonna stop ranting about that. But that is a really huge downside, because when you have a bunch of SD cards and you want to just run through them, and you know, and they're getting filled up by this massive codec that's really useless and old, and then you have to edit that stuff, and it's heavy on your editing software and your computer. That just becomes annoying really, really fast. So that's just my 2 cents on that. But still, it has a lot of other great qualities. Again, like I said, the autofocus is just amazing. And something else, aside from the specs, again, I do want to mention that there's something that can't be written down on paper in terms of all the technical jargon that goes in with these cameras, and that is the quality that they give you. I really think that the different sensors from all these different manufacturers give you a different type of quality to your image. And honestly, this is why I wish I could love the 5D, because Canon sensors to me are the most beautiful sensors out there. Well, I mean, of course, if we jump into cinema cameras, nothing really can beat the Alexa and those kind of cameras. But if we're keeping it in the DSLR market, nothing beats a Canon sensor. It has a really nice and just organic feeling, whatever that means, feel to the sensor. The highlights roll off in a very beautiful way. It feels a lot more filmic to me than a much more like sharp Sony sensor. The Sony sensors are just very sharp, and I'm not talking about in terms of resolution. There's just a quality to it that makes it feel very like National Geographic, and it's like you're there, but it doesn't have those flaws and a little bit of that magic that Canon sensors have. I don't know. I don't know if that made any sense. It's definitely hard to explain without actually seeing them side by side. But I definitely think that there is a big difference, and that is why I wish that Canon could just keep up and have some of those specs into their bodies, and maybe that'll happen soon. Just hasn't happened yet, and that's why the 5D Mark IV sits all the way at the bottom of this list. Well, not all the way at the bottom, but pretty close. So again, it has 61 points, high density reticular autofocus, which is just a bunch of jargon just to say that it has incredible autofocus. It can really pick up whatever you want in your frame. Native ISO of 3200. So again, you know, it can do pretty well in low light, but still it's no A7S. So again, it has some other stuff. You can check out this article. Here's that codec I was saying, MJPEG codec at 500 megabytes per second. Just ridiculous. All right, and at number 5 we have the Canon C200. So there's still some Canon love, you know, but it's just definitely kind of slugging behind, like I said. Now this is quite the expensive camera, so we're not talking about, you know, like 2,000, 3,000 anymore. We're definitely jumping up to somewhere like 7,000 to 8,000, which is a lot, I know. But if you are, you know, a one-man band, if you want to have all of those kind of like those cinema camera package options in a sort of DSLR body, this is what this gives you. It has built-in ND filters. It has all these different options and inputs that you would need either in a studio or in a professional set, and that manages to package it really well in a relatively small form factor. Again, it's not a small camera, but considering what you're getting, they've managed to pack it in pretty nicely. And again, it has the perk of having that nice Canon sensor, which I'm a huge fan of, and it has a Super 35 millimeter CMOS sensor. So again, autofocus technology is great. Nothing to complain about there. It can do 60 frames a second, and it can go up to 120 frames per second in high definition. So again, nothing too crazy for what we've seen on the market right now, but you know, you get SDIs, HDMI ports, all of that good stuff. So it is there are nice options to have, but again, it is very, very pricey. So again, you can read all the specs on here on your own time. It has CFast cards, which are pricier than SD cards, but they're more reliable. They can go to higher speeds, so that's really great. Not much to say about this camera because I've used it a few times. Not enough to really do too much experimenting with, but this is just how I feel about it. It has it's a great package camera. It has XLR audio inputs. It has all this good stuff, all the stuff that Canon is really well known for. But to me, again, nothing beats the top of the list, which is the A7S Mark II. I'm honestly just such a fan of what Sony has made. They really revolutionized the market. So, all right. So those are the 5 picks that I have. Let me just check at how long I am. Oh God, 28 minutes. How has it been 28 minutes? I've been trying so hard to keep these at like 10 minutes and 15 minutes. Oh my God. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump into some questions, and then we're gonna wrap it up pretty soon. This is crazy. I can't believe how time flies. All right, so I might have to catch up a little bit on these comments, but let's see what you guys have to say about this. What about mirrorless cameras? Well, the A7S Mark I and II are mirrorless, and yeah, I've mentioned them, but I'm honestly a fan of mirrorless. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it, but I'm a fan of not having having the option to not have that mechanical shutter close down and make a bunch of noise depending on the type of photography that you're doing. Let's see. I wish I had a way of like, oh God, there's so many, so many comments. I wish I had a way to sort through them quickly, but. So people keep asking about the Blackmagic cameras. Again, not a huge fan, just from my own experience, but the Ursa is. So someone's saying, okay, Timewed, do you like Nikon or Canon better? If I were to pick, just Canon. I know there's a lot of old school photographers that will just are diehards Nikon photographers and shooters, but just from my experience, I've had a lot of Canon cameras, and I can honestly say that they're great. Until the A7S came out, and I was like, all right, let me sell my. I had the Canon 6D, not 60D, 6D, and then I sold that to get the A7S Mark II. So does full frame and crop cameras have a difference in terms of dynamic range? Not necessarily. Different bodies might, just because of how the cameras are made from their manufacturers. But what I'm personally not a fan of, in the difference of going from a crop sensor to a full frame, is first of all, you get less bokeh from a crop sensor. Once you have a full frame sensor, you're getting more in terms of that from your image. You also just have a wider range of lenses to pick from. You know, especially if you want to get a PL adapter and you want to throw some anamorphic lenses, you would be losing a lot from those lenses if you're shooting cropped. Obviously, that all depends on the lens, but you just have such a wider array of glass that you can use for full frame rather than cropped. That's honestly just my main thing. And of course, there is a bit of a, in terms of the resolution that you can get out of them, you're using a bigger sensor, so there's more room to play with there. So I know this is out of subject, but what camera would you suggest in the range of $600 to $800 for a beginning photographer? This question is from Lenny Naz. I would look into the Rebel series. I'm gonna do an article shortly on the best filmmaking cameras under $1,000, and I think that the Rebel series are a great start. The T3i is a solid camera, and honestly, it has all the functions that you need to get some really nice images. So again, it's all about how you use it, and I definitely think that the Rebel series is a huge great start for beginning filmmakers. Is it possible to use a DSLR camera for a live stream webcam? Yeah, actually that is what I'm doing right now. It's not technically a DSLR. I'm using the Rx100 Mark 4, but you can use any camera with the system that I have for the Rx100 Mark 4. I could use my A7S on here if I wanted to. I just am using this one for convenience sake because it's small and it looks like a webcam. But I'm using the mini recorder from Blackmagic. That is how you can hook it up to your computer, and you can live stream from there. I have, again, if you look at my editing desk setup article on my website, you can find a section all about what I use to do these live streams, all the gear that I have for that. So I definitely recommend that to get started. As long as you have battery. Oh, okay, I lost that comment. Sorry. I'm looking to upgrade from a T2i. I shoot music videos and commercials. What would you get that will last? No camera is ever going to last. That question is from Doug254. Unfortunately, yeah, no camera is ever going to last. The market is always changing, and cameras become obsolete probably within like 3 years, and they get really. I feel like they're almost doubling in quality in what they give you every year. So it's really not the smartest thing to invest in the best and greatest camera. I always recommend renting cameras. If you're on a music video shoot, you can definitely rent a package, a really solid camera package, and you can charge your client for it, so you don't have to pay for it out of pocket. And that's how I have sometimes had, plenty of fun with some great cinema cameras and anamorphic glass and all this fun stuff. Just let someone else pay for it if possible. If you're doing smaller music videos, then there's still some affordable packages out there that you can rent. If you go on ShareGrid, that's a great source for renting gear. The A7S Mark II, there's a whole cinema camera package with a camera rig that you can rent for like a couple $100 a week or something like that. So that's that's definitely an option. But if you do want to plan on saving up and getting a camera, I would definitely get the A7S Mark II. That is just personally what I would go for. If I were to buy a camera right now, that is the camera I would go to, and I would just save up for that. So Jenny asks, out of curiosity, did you make your own website? Yes, I did. I've talked about it a few times. I've made it in Wix, and it's not the smoothest type of experience, but if you think outside the box a few times and you you have patience, you can definitely get a pretty solid website with Wix. They did sponsor me in the past, but they haven't talked to me ever since. So this is just my own opinion. All right, guys. There's so many good questions. I don't want to leave, but all right, just a few more. I'm sorry if I haven't read any of the past comments while I was talking about other stuff. So if you have any pressing last questions that I haven't answered, just go ahead and leave them right now. I'm gonna do 2 more minutes, and then I'm gonna sign off because we're about to reach the 40-minute mark. I was trying to make this 15 minutes. All right, so so people are asking Steadicams or gimbals. Those are 2 very different looks. It depends on what you're going for. I'm personally a fan of gimbals, just because of how smooth they are. But Steadicam, still smooth. Depends on the kind of look, the type of setup that you're working with. Oh, nice. Nazir says, what camera is good for daily vlogging? I have used the Rx100 Mark 4. And it's honestly been great because it has that flip out screen. I can look at myself. Like right now, I have the screen right above here. I can look into the lens, or I can look right above it, which is great for checking focus and all those things, making sure everything is good. It can do 4K, but it's still a little eh. They did announce the Rx100 Mark 5, which has improved a lot, so I hear. I've loved this camera. Now it's my pretty much permanent setup for live streaming. And that is because I got... This is going to be painful, but I got the iPhone 10 and I've been vlogging on this. And this is honestly such a solid thing to just have in your pocket. You can take it out, and you can have dual cameras, so you can do telephoto and you can do close-ups. But this is useful. I thought it was waterproof, which it says it is. That's another story. It wasn't waterproof. It no longer works. Anyways, all right. On that depressing, sad note, I hope this stream was enjoyable, and I hope you guys found some useful information. Again, check out the article on my website. There's a ton more information on there that you guys can check out. And also, something I forgot to do in the last live stream, check out this cool split screen. There we go. That's my Instagram right there. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I'm actually posting different highlights from these live streams so that they can be digested in smaller nuggets, and you can get some highlights without having to watch a 40-minute video, which this is turning out to be. I'm so sorry for anyone watching this on playback, but I love it personally. It's fun to me, so I could keep doing this all day. Pierrick asks, how often do you stream? I do want to do this every week, and hopefully I will stream Sunday or next Friday. I don't know. We'll see. But definitely doing that next week also. All right, guys. I never know how to end these. Hopefully you found this. Oh, the giveaway. Oh my gosh, I forgot the giveaway. Okay, so, oh God, what I'm going to do right now. Let's see. Let me see if I can do this live, because I forgot to set this up, but I do want to give you some free stuff, and this is what a lot of people have been hanging on for. So, and if you have waited this long, I want to give you some free stuff also, because we just passed 250,000 subscribers. This happened like the other day. I wish it happened in the previous live stream. It was about to happen live, but then I had to leave, and we passed it. We did it. I'm so happy about this. It's so great. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity to do some giveaways. So just give me a few seconds. I'm so sorry that I didn't prepare this ahead of time. I literally have to grab a link. I have to find a link. Where is it? Okay. All right. I think yes, I found a link. All right. I'm going to post a link in the chat, and you guys can sign up to... Essentially, it's like a VIP sort of list that will... I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure this out. There we go. Okay, here is the chat. So I'm posting the link right now, and I'm going to... Error, try again. Why isn't it not... I can't post links in my own chat? What? Well, does anyone know how to, you know what? This is so bad. I can't. It's not letting me. I'm sorry. It's not letting me. I think what I'm going to do is once this video is up, I'm going to pin a comment on the top section of the video. It'll be a link. That link is going to bring you to a place where you can put your name and your email, and from there it's going to grab your email. It's going to put you on like a VIP list for essentially just free assets. And I don't want to just do a giveaway which is just one time and done deal. I actually want to keep giving you free stuff. So I'm gonna leave this link in the description as well, so you guys can sign up for this. And every week, I'm gonna try to do this every week. I'm gonna send you something for free. So I have a few packs that I've been working on for a while. So a few texture packs, some stuff that you can use for motion graphics, for backgrounds. There's some assets that you saw me use that I might put on there soon. I promised I would show you. So there's the like animation. Bam. I might make a pack out of that. And also, this is fun. Watch this. You know how YouTubers are like, smash that like button. They're all intense about it. Well, now you can actually smash that like button. It's so stupid. But I'm sure people will love to use that. And of course, you have the subscribe thing. So, which is a good reminder to subscribe for more live streams like this that hopefully will go a little bit smoother next time. But yeah, so I'm going to leave that link. You're going to follow it. And in the next few days, I'm going to send you an email with a free pack. And then every week after that, if you are signed up to that sort of newsletter type of thing, you're going to keep getting free things. So that's exciting. I'm honestly, I've been wanting to do that for a while, and this is the perfect opportunity to do so. All right. I'm seeing right now I've passed the 40-minute mark. I need to go. This is, I just talk too much. But anyways, I hope you found this useful. I hope that if you are on the fence about buying a camera, now you have some more information. And now I've shared my thoughts on which camera I use, which camera I prefer. So hopefully that'll make you have a more informed buying decision. And again, if you are thinking about buying, considering doing it through the article that I showed you, because those links are affiliate links, and that helps support this channel and all the free educational content on here. So I really would appreciate that. And if not, no worries. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. My name is Chris Cuni for Chris Gh4, and I will see you next time.